Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the 23 books that I loved in 2023, and I cannot believe I am saying that, and I cannot believe it is the end of the year. But without further ado, I've got three categories, well, genres. We've got romance, thriller, and fantasy, so let's just dive into the books that I loved this year. And I'm so excited about the books that I've got today because I'm going to start off with a banger, okay? When I got into reading, I was a rom-com girly. All I read was romances and maybe like a thriller here or there, but all I read was romance. And then I picked up Sarah J Maas and I was absolutely ruined for romance because I became a romantasy girly. Then I got into thriller, and romances just didn't have the same feeling that they used to. And I've now come to the realization that I was actually in a romance slump for like a year, which is absolutely insane. But this is the book that got me back into loving romances, and I would like to preface this by saying I was reading romance before this, obviously, and I would still like it. I'm like, oh yeah, that's a good book. But I knew when I was reading so many books that if I read that particular book before fantasy, I would be gobbling it up. It would have been a 6-star read. I would have been absolutely obsessed, and that's when I knew something's not clicking and I was not connecting to them. I knew that they were good books, but I just wasn't feeling that spark until I read Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. I don't know what it is about this book. I truly don't. It is the most fluffiest, giggle-worthy, blushing rom-com book I have ever read. This is a 6-star read. This book changed how I rated books, and it pulled me out of a year-long reading slump of romance books, and it made me dive back into the genre and absolutely love romance. I got influenced into buying this book because someone recommended it and said that if you like the movie Duff, you will love this book. They were not wrong. I loved the movie Duff, like absolutely loved it. And this is childhood friends to lovers, the neighbor, girl next door, and fake dating. And fake dating, that is all you ever need to hear in a romance movie, and then you pick it up. But this rom-com, and I say rom-com because I literally was blushing and giggling and kicking my feet throughout this entire book. Lynn Painter put in this book, okay, this, I will never be able to articulate how I actually felt while reading this because it is such an incredible romance book. I knew 20 pages in that it was going to become my entire personality and that I was going to be obsessed, and I was right. I think about this book all the time. I very rarely reread books. Like, I can already think off the top of my head the books I've reread, which is Archer's Voice, Sarah J Maas Throne of Glass, and one reread of A Court of Thorns and Roses, because Throne of Glass I've reread like 4 times. I very rarely do rereads. I read this and then a week later wanted to reread it. That does not happen to my mind, okay? That is how much I adored this book. I then went and purchased every single Lynn Painter book, and I'm very happy that I did. That, by far, like, I'm starting off with the best book, the best romance book I read in 2023. It is Better Than the Movies by Lynn Painter. Out of all the romance books I recommend in this video, please give Better Than the Movies a chance. It is so fluffy, lighthearted, giggle-worthy. It is absolutely amazing. And they're adorable. Now, speaking of Lynn Painter, we have Mr. Wrong Number. I adore this book. Better Than the Movies is 100% a YA book, and this was more into the new adult territory. This is the brother's best friend, and oh my god, Olivia, the main character, she is adorable. Don't get the ick by me saying this. She's quirky. She actually is quirky. She's the biggest klutz I've ever like met. Her humor is so unique. She's so funny. I was laughing throughout this entire book, and I'm not kidding. I loved the male main interest Colin. He was chef's kiss. He was absolutely amazing. But the fact that the main character topped the male main interest for me was insane. Like, I swear to god, I was so hooked by this just because the main character Olivia was so unique and so fun, and like, you just wanted to find out what happened. She is a train wreck, but a good train wreck and a funny train wreck, and I absolutely loved that, and I loved their romance. Loved it. And I will say, this is the, like, at least recently, this is the only romance third act breakup that I actually liked. I actually liked it, and I'm shocked to say it. I'm shocked. And also, it's written by Lynn Painter. Need I say more? Moving on to cinnamon roll men, because we love a very good cinnamon roll man. We have Wildfire by Hannah Grace, and Russ in this movie, Russ in this book is so adorable. I love the cinnamon roll men that Hannah Grace writes. I think it's my new thing. Like, I think I actually truly love cinnamon roll men. They're perfection. And Russ, oh my god, he's shy. A shy guy is just perfect. He was just adorable. He was so adorable, and the shyness, like, it's it was so good. So good. My only hang up about this book is that Aurora, the main character, her family life I related to, but I didn't relate to how she emotionally responded to that, which, I mean, everyone deals with trauma in their own ways. I just couldn't connect to it because I just didn't relate to it, but I related to the family issues. So that was the only thing that kind of pulled me out of it, because I was like, ugh, I would not do that. I don't think that. Like, the only thing I can say about this. I also love that it's set in a summer camp. I'm from Australia. I've never gone to summer camp, so this was so fun to live something that I haven't done. I mean, that is what books are about. You're meant to be living lives that you never will in your true reality, which is really sad. But anyways, we're not gonna dive into that, because then that might make me a little bit depressed. But it was so fun to read about summer camps, and yeah, I really liked this. Like, really liked it. It was just cute. And I love cinnamon roll men. I love cinnamon rolls. I love cinnamon roll men. Love Theoretically by Ali Hazelwood. I am not the biggest Ali Hazelwood fan. I have read one other book of hers that I did like, which was The Love Hypothesis, which everyone, if you are on TikTok, you know about that book. I did really like this book, but this book, Love Theoretically, everyone was rating it 5 stars, and I like just don't go out of my way to buy Ali Hazelwood. I'm not sure why. It just, before this book, she wasn't a instant author purchase for me. But when I continuously saw TikTok reviews, Instagram reviews, YouTube reviews of every single person rating this 5 stars, you bet your ass I was curious. I was curious. I picked it up, I read it, and I freaking love it. It is Rivals to Lovers, which, love it. Love the tension. I think Ali Hazelwood is so incredibly talented, because how she develops her characters, the people that she creates are beautiful, and they're very human. There's something so human about her characters, where she makes them so relatable. Even if you don't relate to them, she just truly creates these 3D characters. And I feel like that's the only way that I can articulate it. But this, when I put it down, I truly felt like the characters were out there living their lives, because she creates such unique characters that are so 3D aspects. They truly, it feels like I'm reading a biography. It feels like I'm reading someone's journal. That is what it felt like reading Love Theoretically. And I think because it's so far from the normal romance books, I mean, these are the characters in STEM. I don't know about you guys, but I've never read a character in STEM that wasn't Ali Hazelwood, and it's opened up my mind to such a different world that it feels so unique reading it, and that is what I loved about this book. And the romance was amazing. It was perfect. Flawless by Elsie Silver. Look, I don't have much to say about this book besides the fact that it was just pure good vibes. It is small town cowboy romance, and definitely in the category of a sports romance. It was steamy, it was fun, it was a quick read, and that's all I have to say about it. I love this book so much that I went and purchased the entire Chestnut Springs series. Need I say more? Now we're going into the gut-wrenching romance books, and there is no better one to start off with than If He Had Been With Me. I had no clue that this book had mixed reviews until I posted on TikTok like my reading wrap up of the month. I loved it. I personally, I mean, look at the tabs. I was sobbing so hard when I finished this that my sister asked what happened. I told her about the book, the synopsis, everything. She started crying. This book sucked me in and then literally just stabbed a knife through my heart. The only thing that I will say is that people say it's too slow and that it was immature. This is what I have to say to that, and that's totally fine to have your own opinion. But guys, it is a slow burn, and it is a coming of age story. I mean, it starts off when they're like 12 until they're, what, 18? Of course some parts are going to be immature. they're 12-year-olds. But that's beside the fact. I personally love slow burns, so I didn't think that the pacing was slow, and I love coming of age stories, like I truly do. And this, oh my god, I can't say much without giving it away. And it's so funny because in the first chapter, is it the prologue? Hang on. No, it's not a prologue, it's just chapter 1. It should have been a prologue, but you kind of know going in what's going to happen, and yet even in the back of your mind knowing what's going to happen at the end, when the ending comes, like guys, I was crying for hours. I couldn't stop. I truly couldn't stop. I just, oh my god, I literally feel like crying right now, and I have to just, not today, not today. I just, guys, I really don't know what I can say. This book just like emotionally ruined me. It emotionally ruined me. It's a beautiful coming of age story, and it is such a sad romance. Please go read it. Just give her a shot, and just know going in that it is a coming of age story and that it is a slow burn. Now this one I didn't need the tissues for, but everyone around you will need headphones because you will be screaming at the characters. Daisy Haight. I did not pick Magnolia Parks for this video because personally it actually took me until the third book, which is the second book of Magnolia and BJ's story, to truly kind of connect. Magnolia for me is quite triggering, which they're all toxic relationships. This one is just less triggering, but Magnolia and BJ, I just like the first book. It was 4 stars for me. I wish I knew going in that there was a cheating trope though. I think that kind of like ruined it. But anyways, so this is why I picked Daisy Haight, because out of the series I am a Daisy girl. I love Daisy and I love Christian so much. I love this entire world, and oh my god, Julian. I love Julian so much. Out of the entire series, this is my favorite book. It would be The Great Undoing, except my only thing that I didn't like about it, and I'm totally going off track, is that it felt repetitive because we already knew what happened in the third book, and it was just getting people's different perspectives, which I know a lot of people love, but just personally I don't. I would have liked like more newish things happening because it just felt like reading the same book. But anyways, I'm a Daisy girl and I loved this so much. I love the first line. I love the first line. This is the first line. No guns at the dinner table. That's my one rule. And then look at all the beautiful tabs. Oh my god, I freaking love her. I just love her, and I love Christian, and I just, oh god. And the covers are so beautiful. I don't have much to say. So for those that haven't read Magnolia Parks yet, if you love Gossip Girl, this is Gossip Girl meets London, and you need to read it. But please don't be fooled, this series is toxic as fuck, and you will be screaming, crying, and throwing the book across the room. Speaking of controversial opinions, I don't even know if I will be putting this in the video, but I also don't want to upset or offend anyone. I would just like to preface this by saying I have not read Never by Jessa Hastings. I have not bought the book either. I do know the controversy around it. I have seen Jessa's formal apology statement as well, and how she will be rectifying the situation. But I do know that, I just know that some people are going to see this video, they're going to see that I mentioned Magnolia Parks and Jessa Hastings, and then might be offended or upset, and I'm very sorry if that does offend or upset your feelings. And I don't really know what to say on the topic, to be honest. I just want to acknowledge that if I hurt your feelings by mentioning Magnolia Parks or Daisy Haight and Jessa Hastings, I'm very sorry. But just please keep in mind that I do not support the book and what was said in the book, like at all. I hope that doesn't upset anyone, and I'd rather just acknowledge it now. That's why I'm putting it in this video, okay? Now the last book in romance is Binding 13 by Chloe Walsh. This cover is just stunning, and I mean, guys, look at all the tabs. She's thick, she's girthy, but wow, was she worth it. This book is very heavy on my heart and very near and dear to my heart because I relate to Savannah so much. Just, oh my god, this book was gut-wrenching for me for so many different reasons. I personally love Chloe Walsh and how she represented domestic violence and abuse. So for those of you that have not read Binding 13, those are the trigger warnings. There is bullying, domestic violence, and abuse. and I think Chloe represented it very, very, very well. This book smashed my heart into smithereens, and I have not yet continued on with the second book, Keeping 13, just because, like I said, it is actually this book is just very heavy for me to read, so it's taking me time to get through the series, but this book needed to be mentioned in this video. My camera cut out. I was saying that this book is beautiful. The end. There's nothing else I want to say. Like, the book is just beautiful. I love how Chloe represented it. It is a slow burn, and you just, I know that the book is thick, but you don't even realize how thick it is while reading it. I loved it. And that is it for romance. Now we're moving on to fantasy. Now I'm going to get this one out of the way because I know that she is on many people's lists for 2023 and their favorite reads of fantasy, and that is Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Now, I would like to preface this by saying I have read Iron Flame, and I was one of the people that absolutely despised the book. That is me being completely honest. And also, please let me have my opinion, okay? I know that a lot of people gave it 5 stars. I know a lot of people loved it, and that is totally fine. I'm so glad that people loved it. I did not have a great reading experience for Iron Flame, and so much so that I don't know if I'll be continuing on with the series. But Fourth Wing, let's stick to her because she was 5 stars. I picked up Fourth Wing in the midst of the hype, okay? In the heat of the moment, the first week that it came out, I picked up this baby, I read it, and I mean, look at how many tabs there are. She's stunning. She was fast-paced. She was fun. I couldn't put her down. This is a hefty book. I read it in 2 days. Literally, I didn't put it down. I only put it down to sleep. That's it. I devoured this book. I loved it. It's enemies to lovers. It's high stakes. There's dragons. There's games. There's death. It is amazing. It is a masterpiece, and I wish I just stuck to reading Fourth Wing. I don't know what else to like say. There was nothing, like when I read this, there was nothing that I would have changed. Nothing. I love Fourth Wing so much, and I have not a single negative bad thing to say about it. And I think in my mind, I'm just gonna leave it that I just read Fourth Wing and pretend like I didn't read Iron Flame. Now this feels very special, and it feels like I read it last year. I can't believe that I read it this year. Once Upon a Broken Heart by Stephanie Garber. I love this book. Evelyn and Jax is absolutely amazing. I have not read the final book in the trilogy, so please do not spoil it for me in the comments down below. I loved it so much that I'm scared to pick up the 3rd book because I just don't want the trilogy to end. I don't want the world to end, and I'm very scared of how it is going to end. Jax is perfection. He is amazing, and he is a villain, and we love the villain. And Stephanie Garber's writing is beautiful because it's so different and it's so unique, and the worlds that she creates is absolutely amazing. Once Upon a Broken Heart is very whimsical and is very much giving fairy tale vibes. It feels like the bedtime stories that your mum would read. It's beautiful. It's amazing. I'm so scared to see how this will go. I flew through this. Please go read this. It is so beautiful. I will preface this by saying I wish Caraval was in this video, but she is not, because I didn't know that you had to read Caraval before reading Once Upon a Broken Heart. If you were going to read Caraval, ignore every single person that says that you can read Once Upon a Broken Heart before Caraval, because you can't. Caraval, the series for me, was so spoiled. I knew what was happening because I read Once Upon a Broken Heart. I guessed all the really big plot twists, and the magic was just sucked out of it because I knew what was happening. So if you want to read Caraval, read it first and then read Once Upon a Broken Heart. And I just highly recommend just reading Caraval, because so many people go, I'm not going to read Caraval. They pick up Once Upon a Broken Heart and love the world so much that they go, no, I'm going to go read Caraval, and it's spoiled. So I just highly recommend reading Caraval first and then reading Once Upon a Broken Heart. Next up, we have Heir of Broken Fate. My entire heart and soul is in this book, and that is because I actually wrote her. I am in the middle of editing book 2. She's coming out in early 2024. So if you have not read Heir of Broken Fate, please go read it before the 2nd book, because I promise you, you will want to read the 2nd book. When I tell you I poured everything into this book, I truly mean it. If you want to get into fantasy, pick her up. If you are a romantasy lover, pick her up. She's got mermaids, dragons, griffins, fae, enemies to lovers, who did this to you, one bed trope, found family. She truly has everything you want and need in a romantasy and more. It is about the princess Delilah who runs away from her kingdom because the king is such a cruel, sadistic bastard. We seriously hate him. She runs to the Fae to ask for help, only to find out that the Fae need her help more, and she needs to save not only the entire Fae race but magic itself. And she's fun. She's so fun. I love her so freaking much. So please go give her a shot. She's on Amazon in Kindle Unlimited. And I hope that you love her as much as I do. Next up we have Carate by Lynette Noni. I cannot believe I was putting this off for so long. This is amazing. It is absolutely amazing. This is a YA book, but do not get me wrong. Oh my god, I didn't even notice while reading it because it is that much fun. She's just fun. She gives Narnia and Harry Potter vibes because she's set in a magic school and she literally walks through a door and then falls into another world. The plot twist I did not see coming at the end. There is a few of them like in the middle that I'm like, yeah, you knew that, but then the ending, nope. And I cannot wait to see where the story goes. I am so excited to finish this series in 2024. I absolutely devoured her, and I loved the found family and the friends that she makes, and I can already tell that there is a romance brewing, and I am loving it. Like, absolutely loving it. So there's not a lot of romance in the first book, but the fantasy and the friends and the world is so unique. There's so many times that I was reading and I went, oh my god, how did she come up with this? This is incredible. And I found out that Lynette Noni is Australian, and I'm like, I can't believe I didn't read this sooner. Cannot believe I didn't read it sooner. It is so fun. Then we have one that I know is going to be on a lot of people's lists, and that is Powerless by Lauren Roberts. I picked her up very early during the hype, and I am very glad that I did. Look at all of these tabs. Absolutely amazing. Now, I actually have a lot of mixed emotions with this book, and I didn't know if I wanted to put it on this list. If I'm just going to be completely honest and just not hold back about my thoughts and opinions on this. So please don't hate me. Everyone has different opinions, and I'm trying to figure out my thoughts and feelings on this because this is a good book. Lauren is an incredibly talented writer. Very, very talented. Like, I cannot express enough how talented this woman is. She's amazing. Before going into this, I had not read Hunger Games. I had only read it. Oh, that's funny. I had only watched it. But when I say watched it, like Hunger Games, the movie series and franchise is my all-time favorite movies. I watch it at least 3 to 4 times a year. Every Christmas time, I watch the Hunger Games. I am obsessed. So I remember everything. I had not read the book. As I'm filming this, I'm in the middle of reading the Hunger Games. So this is where it gets a bit complicated because my thoughts are kind of changing toward Powerless, and this is why. People keep saying that Powerless is Hunger Games and Red Queen coded. It is not coded. There's too many similarities, okay? It is like Hunger Games and Red Queen had a child. It's just not original. It's not original. And the only thing why it bugs me so much is that you will have the littlest of things in books for like fae and fantasy, and everyone will say that it's ACOTAR. Doesn't matter if it is or isn't, they will say it's ACOTAR. And the authors will get slammed, the books will get slammed, there's no escaping it. Every book, even Fourth Wing, I've heard people say that Rebecca Yarros stole from ACOTAR because Xaden has shadows, okay? That whole mindset I really don't like, because we just need to stop comparing books to ACOTAR, period. So when I started seeing that people were like, it's Hunger Games and Red Queen coded, I was like, awesome. I really, really love those series. When I picked it up and realized that it literally was Hunger Games and Red Queen, I was like, why is nobody saying that it is just Hunger Games and Red Queen? It's not coded. It is Hunger Games and Red Queen. Yeah, I'm trying to gently say this because it's obviously like a big thing to say, but this is why I have such weird feelings, because when I was reading the book, I'm like, oh, that's great, but then all these things happen and I get pulled right out because I'm like, that's Hunger Games. That's Red Queen. This happened in Hunger Games. There's literally a moment in here where she's talking to Kai and asking him what his favorite color is. Hello, Peter and Katniss. And when I say it now, it sounds like such a little thing, but it's not when it's continuous little things. It is very much like, okay, I'm just reading Hunger Games and Red Queen. I am a little bit disappointed just in that aspect because it is just so heavily inspired that it's kind of like too much inspiration from the books. I don't even want to say that. And this is where I struggle because I'm an author myself. Everyone takes inspiration from everywhere, and I mean everywhere. There's nothing really original now. Everyone takes inspiration from everything, and inspiration is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing. I just struggled reading this book because I continuously got pulled out of the world because it was reminding me too much of Hunger Games and Red Queen, and I think that that's just a perfect way to summarize it. Another reason why I couldn't emotionally connect to it is that Peyton, the main character, her driving force emotionally is her father. And I don't have a relationship with my father. That's what was happening. I could not deeply throw myself into the world like other people could because I kept getting yanked out for either the emotional connection or that it reminded me too much of Hunger Games and Red Queen. But with that being said, like there's so many the writing is so beautiful. There's so many times I was like, oh my god, that's written beautifully, but I didn't feel it because I could not emotionally connect. But she's on here because I know this is a good book. I know it's written amazing. I know that she's super talented, and I wish I connected to it as much as other people did, but I unfortunately didn't. But she's still a good book. Do you see where my complicated emotions come from? So I'm just gonna leave it there. I hope that I articulated myself correctly. I hope I didn't offend anyone, and I hope that people understand where I'm coming from because it is a good book and I did like it. I did enjoy reading it. I just couldn't immerse myself how I know that I could have if some things were different. And last for fantasy, we have Vampire Academy. I got into reading very late in life. I got into it in my early 20s. So I'm going through my 2010 era of reading all the books that everyone read growing up. And I love this book. She's short, she's sweet, she's quick, but she is unique. I love Vampire Diaries, like absolutely love the TV show. So reading this just felt so unique to me because the world was just so creative, and the vampires and the ranking and the bodyguards and like what they're called, like I'm not even going to try and say it, but if you've read this series, I know that you know what I mean. There is romance brewing, okay, but it didn't feel like it was the main focus. The plot was the driving force, but the second like subplot, so in my mind, when I think of Vampire Academy, I think of the plot, and then I think of the friendship, and then I think of the romance. And when I say friendship, I mean I love how this series had such a focus on the main character's friendship. Their friendship, I love how much it was highlighted. I love how much of a focus it is in the book, because in a lot of these romanticities and a lot of fantasy books, you read a lot about found family and the romance obviously, but so much focus was on their friendship, and it was very new for me to read, and I absolutely loved it, and I cannot wait to continue on with the series because it's just such a fun series to read. And for me personally, it's very unique, and I'm very excited to finish this and then watch the TV show and form some opinions on that. Now moving on to thriller, and I am going to start with my Holy Grail, my Roman Empire, the book that changed the game for me, the book that changed the way that I rate books. Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. And look, if you're not new to this YouTube channel, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but if you are new here, this book means everything to me. 6-star read, infinity stars. There is not one thing that I would change about this entire book. I am a paranormal lover. I love watching ghost hunters. I love watching Sam and Colby. I love going on paranormal investigations. I love everything paranormal, and this thriller book is just perfect for paranormal lovers. So Maggie Holt, 25 years ago, her and her family moved into her old Victorian house, and then in the middle of the night 3 weeks later they fled it. Now in the present tense, she is older and her father passes away, and she finds out that he left her the house in his will. They have never stepped foot in this house, and in fact her father actually wrote a New York Times best-selling novel on what happened at the house and the haunting. She does not remember anything of the haunting, so she doesn't actually believe believe that happened, and she believed her entire life that her father was lying to her. Then when he passes away and she inherits the house, she goes, this is the perfect time to see if it's actually haunted. So she goes back to the house for the first time in 25 years. And reading this book, you get the perspective of Maggie now and what is happening in the house, and from the New York Times best-selling book and what happened when she was a child. So the different perspective is so fun. It is so fun to see the parallels of what happened 25 years ago and what's happening now. And the ending, you won't see it coming. You won't. This book is truly incredible. It kept me on my toes the entire time. I physically couldn't put it down. I was so immersed in this world. I am obsessed, and I want to reread her every week. She's perfection. There's no other way for me to articulate how much I love this book. Please, out of all the thriller books I'm ever going to recommend, please go give Home Before Dark a chance. She is absolutely incredible. Now, because Home Before Dark was so good, I went and bought every single Riley Sager book. So the one that made the cut in this one is Final Girls. Now, this book, I have a lot of different thoughts and opinions on this, because it was truly a great book. Throughout it, it was a 4-star reading it. And I must admit, 80% of this book, you're waiting for something to happen, and I feel like there was such potential with it. It could have gone one step further to be a 5-6-star read throughout the book. What truly made it 5 stars for me was the ending. The ending was absolutely phenomenal, incredible, mind-blowing, and just hit it out of the park. It was absolutely incredible. Now, Final Girls is about 3 final girls. These are the women that in completely different tragedies have survived massacres, and it's, oh my god. First there were 3. The media calls them the Final Girls, the infamous group of survivors that no one wants to be a part of. Then there were 2. But when Lisa dies in mysterious circumstances, Sam shows up unannounced and angry. All Quincy knows is one thing: she is next. Can there only ever be one final girl? And I'm not going to say too much on this, because I actually believe that this is something that people should go into completely blind. Just know that it's going to be one hell of a ride. That is all I'm going to say. Next up, we have The Guest List by Lucy Foley. I loved this thriller. I absolutely devoured and binged it. One of the reasons why I absolutely love The Guest List is that there's so many different perspectives that you get and so many different characters, and the ending ties them all together in such a beautiful way that it just had me absolutely mind blown. And it kept me on my toes, and it kept me flipping the pages, because there was so many different perspectives, there were so many different characters, and there was so many different plots and stories that were happening in the one story. It was absolutely amazing, and you were going, how is this going to tie in together? How is this going to pull together at the end? And then when the ending happened, wow. Each has a secret, each has a motive. So it's a group of friends that go to a remote island for a wedding, and a storm rolls in, not only on the island but in the hearts of many, as chaos absolutely erupts. The next 3 are by the same author. Can you guess? Can anybody guess? Frida McFadden. I'm back. Had to take a quick little break. Okay, I think I'm just going to lump in all of Frida McFadden's books, because let's start off with The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret. This was the first Frida McFadden book I read, and oh my god, is it worth the hype. Frida McFadden books in general are short, quick, fast-paced, and they hook you from the beginning, and that is what I love about her writing so much. I use her as a filler to stop me from going into any reading slumps, and it's been working amazing and in my favor. The Housemaid was 5 stars. So was The Housemaid's Secret. Now, I was doubtful about The Housemaid's Secret, because I was like, it's the same character from the first book. Aren't we going to know what happens? You don't at all, and I'm so glad that I picked it up. And The Housemaid is hyped for a reason. Please go read her. She's absolutely amazing. Still my favorite read of Frida McFadden's by far. Then we have Never Lie. This is a very close second. I kind of just tie The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret in one book in my mind, but this is the second favorite book, and she's a very close first. The premise of this is absolutely amazing. just have a little listen. Newlyweds Trisha and Ethan are searching for the house of their dreams, but when they visit the remote manor that once belonged to Dr. Adrian Hale, a renowned psychiatrist who vanished without a trace 4 years earlier, a violent winter storm traps them at the estate, with no chance of escape until the blizzard comes to an end. In search of a book to keep her entertained until the snow abates, Trisha happens upon a secret room, one that contains audio transcripts from every single patient Dr. Hale has ever interviewed. As Trisha listens to the cassette tape, she learns about the terrifying chain of events leading up to Dr. Hale's mysterious disappearance. Trisha plays the tapes one by one late into the night. With each one, another shocking piece of the puzzle falls into place and Dr. Adrian Hale's web of lies slowly unravels. And then Trisha reaches the final cassette, the one that reveals the entire horrifying truth. And the twist at the end, I actually didn't see it coming, and I say that every single time for Freida McFadden books, except for one. So far, only one. But this book and the ending knocked it out of the park for me. It was absolutely crazy and incredible, and I loved it so much, and I could not put this book down. It was 10 out of 10. Now the next 3 books I actually read on my Kindle, and I don't have any physical copies, so they're going to be on the screen. The first one we have is The Haunting by Natasha Preston. I have read every single one of Natasha Preston's books, and this one is the one that sticks in my head. I have not been able to stop thinking about it, and I'm actually very surprised by that. I gave it 4 stars. It was a great book. I didn't think it was one that I would keep thinking about after I read it, and because it has, I'm very tempted to change my rating to a 5-star, because honestly it should be a 5-star. I can't stop thinking about it. I enjoyed that book so much. It was absolutely amazing. The reason why I got 4 stars is because of one of Natasha Preston's very famous endings. I was not a fan. If you've read it, you know. If you've ever read a Natasha Preston ending, you also know. And I just really despised this ending. That's the only reason why it was rated so low. But the book itself is absolutely incredible. I love it. I picked it up for spooky season. It is centered around Halloween, and it was so incredibly fun to read. So if you love slasher vibes and you love Scream, you're definitely going to like it, and definitely check it out. The next 2 I read on Kindle Unlimited. The first one is The Good Lie, which I keep sounding like a broken record by saying that I was shocked by the ending, but this is why these books are in this list. This ending, I was listening to it as an audiobook. I was at the gym, I was on the treadmill, and my jaw literally fell open because I could not get over the ending. I truly did not see it coming. It was so amazing and so good. So it's called Good Lie, and it's about the bloody heart killer who is kidnapping 17, 16-year-old men that are in high school and that are athletes. Popular kids, the jocks, like that's the stereotype that they're going for. And they will turn up a couple weeks, couple months later, brutally murdered. It is about a psychologist who treats the criminally insane. It is phenomenal. Read it. Now last but certainly not least, we have Behind Closed Doors by B.A. Paris, and this one is definitely the top Kindle Unlimited book I've read this year. Insane. I will say that the trigger warnings are abuse and domestic violence, and going into this book, as soon as it started I was like, okay, I know what's happening. No, nothing could have prepared me for this book. I picked up this book because someone said that they still think about it. I feel exactly the same way. I think about it because it is just so mind-blowing and shocking. I can't even come up with a new word. I don't know how to articulate how intense reading this book is, because you think you know what's happening, you think you've read the worst of it, and then it just keeps getting worse. And I just, the only thing that I didn't like was the ending. I feel like could have taken a step further and made it like 6 stars, but it was definitely a 5-star read for me, and I absolutely devoured it. Go check it out. And that is it. That is my 23 books of 2023, and it has been an amazing reading year. I hope that you guys also had an amazing reading year, and I hope that you guys liked the video. If you did, definitely go check out my other videos, and I'm so excited to see you guys in 2024. Merry Christmas. I hope you have a really good start to the new year, and I love you guys, and I'll see you in the next video.